Hello and welcome back to Silverstone. In this corner guide we're going to be looking at Turn 8, Woodcote. It's a fairly simple and flat out turn, so some drivers might even barely recognise it as a corner, but it's definitely one worth looking at as you can actually lose time by not adjusting your driving style and making some silly mistakes. So let's start by diving straight into an onboard and looking at this corner. So here we are on board and we're coming out of Luffield, getting flat out, and we're coming across the track using some of the inside curb here and then running it out wide on the exit. So that was quite fast, so let's slow it down to go into some more detail here. So as you can see, coming out of Luffield we're positioned to the left of the track and coming straight across, aiming right for the curb. And if we're going to stop it on the curb here, we can see here that we're taking all the curb, and this is to extend the track as much as possible, so we have to turn as little as possible. This is particularly important in GT and road cars, as you can really feel every extra bit of steering angle and that's going to lose you time. However, in F1, drivers will avoid this curb completely, as the extra downforce allows them to turn more without losing as much speed, so they don't need to use the curb and disrupt the car. So resuming now, we're keeping flat out and using the exit curb if it's necessary, but not all the way up to Copse, as that might lose you some speed. So let's dive into some of the common mistakes drivers make here. The first mistake we often see is using jerky steering movements to get around the corner. I'm sure you can imagine that adding extra steering input is going to lose you speed anywhere, and especially in this corner we want to be smooth and take the shortest line all the way through. The second mistake that's sometimes made here is taking a wide arc around the corner. You might miss the turning point here if you're using this section to adjust brake balance and other things. However, remember that extending the radius of this corner will lose you time, especially coming into Copse where you don't want to be overtaken. And lastly, the third common mistake we see is just taking too much curb. Like we said previously, the key to success at this corner is adjusting your driving style depending on the car. So if we look at F1 onboards, we can see that the driver avoids the curb completely. This is thanks to the downforce of the F1 car allowing them to keep speed even with a greater steering angle, so using the curb would only be detrimental. So let's wrap up with the key points for this corner. The first key point is that it's a simple corner, but remember that it changes depending on the car you're in, so adjust your driving style to get the most success from it. Secondly, we want to make this corner as short as possible, so take a straight line through and out of the corner, shorten the radius, and depending on the car you're in you can even use some of the curb if it's actually there in the sim you're racing in. And finally, remember to use all the track on the exit. You can get on the exit curb if you want to, but remember not to keep on it all the way to Copse, as that's going to slow you down quite a bit.